From the Post-Millennial, David Muir's World News Tonight viewership drops 12% following ABC presidential debate bias scandal. The show averaged 6.7 million viewers Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which were the 3 episodes immediately following the debate. Before the debate, his show was averaging 7.6 million viewers. He dropped over 900,000 average viewers following the scandal. According to Fox News, those are the numbers that was the decline we saw. Muir and co-moderator Lindsay Davis were criticized for fact-checking Trump on stage numerous times while not issuing any for Harris. Namely, I think the most offensive is that she said there's no U.S. troops in any active combat zone, and they didn't fact-check her.
Yeah, did you see Jim Banks today fact-checked that, and he put out a video that he got from U.S. servicemen in active combat. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was pretty wild because that was an insane lie. And she should know that. And if she wants to be the commander-in-chief of the military, she should know where our guys are.
Yeah, right. And if she doesn't know it, then she shouldn't be in charge of the military because she's
definitely
clueless.
Yes.
Well, that whole thing was biased. But I mean, I just read, I think this was on the Drudge Report earlier, that there was a document which came out that said that ABC behind the scenes was talking about this. They were discussing ways that they were going to be fact-checking.
Yeah, that was in an LA Times interview with Lindsay Davis.
Yep.
And she said specifically that after the June 27th debate with Biden, they decided specifically to fact-check Trump as much as they could because they didn't appreciate what he'd said, pushing Biden out of the race, apparently.
I'd like to welcome this 12% of viewers to come watch Timcast IRL, where we break down the news.
Or the Crucible.
And the Crucible. Both. You can watch them both. What time's your show on?
Usually I run about 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, well, there you go. So overlap. They can watch us for the first hour, and then afterwards they can move over to the Crucible. Right. But I'm really optimistic with this story. For one, doesn't it feel good?
Little payback.
It just, I wouldn't call it payback. It's just,
but that's what it is.
You reap what you sow.
But that's what it is, right? It's viewers saying, no.
I think it's an undeniable litmus test for mainstream media, right? They put up this guy thinking, he's going to represent our network well, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do, and the reaction to him was dislike. And it doesn't bode well for ABC, which I think is kind of an untrustworthy source, especially with the current administration.
Well, let me ask you something.
It's very untrustworthy in that it's they're like the only people that Kamala Harris will talk to, ABC and CNN.
And Biden gave them a ton of exclusive.
Do you think, like, from the practical perspective, though, that we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that this is something which is going to stay steady, that this could just be some immediate backlash, and these numbers could rebound fairly easily? This is pretty close after this debacle, so there's a good chance people have very limited memories, this type of thing.
I would argue if it does rebound, then what we're seeing is just political fatigue. People are like, I am so tired of this, put on something else. Mm-hmm. However, if this is because that debate was very poorly run.
Yes, it was.
These 12% are probably turning on some other channel. And there's the habit's not going to just change back. They're not going to go, I don't know, I kind of watch Muir again.
Yeah.
I think once you're in the downward spiral, it's much harder to climb out.
Totally agree. But first of all, 12%.
I agree. It's very close together. It's such a sudden drop. Maybe it's just like, I hate that guy, and they'll forget in 2 months. But on the other hand, it's actually on Muir to rebuild the reputation. Otherwise, you will be in the habit of not going to him. And that's, again, it's a much more difficult problem for him than it is for the viewer.
I agree. And the other thing is 12% is huge. That's a massive viewership drop, career ending. That would be, I have a network. I just lost 12% of the viewers because of something you did. Get out, right? I mean, that's the kind of drop that is. So,
however, the people who run ABC were like, David, we're sorry you lost these viewers because of what we told you to do. They're not going to fire him.
They don't do that.
They're probably not going to fire him.
I don't see a scenario where the executives at ABC told him to fact check Trump, saw negative repercussion, and said it's your fault. They're going to say, this is what we have to deal with because we did the right thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't see these guys taking much personal responsibility. They usually look for scapegoats. And oftentimes, personalities will become the scapegoat. I mean, we saw this with Tucker Carlson, for instance, at Fox News. I think that he became a scapegoat for
Dominion.
For
Dominion and for all of that. I think he was totally a scapegoat.
Didn't Dominion request his termination? Was that a part of it?
I think that's what was understood, was that was part of the lawsuit.
But it wasn't official
or something.
The
settlement. Yeah, but that wasn't exactly exposed.
So I'm not, they will. If there's a scapegoat, they'll get rid of him.
If they're going to scapegoat him, they're going to say that his viewership decline was due to something else.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that
because
that's true.
like you guys were already saying, they had this meeting where they were talking about how they were going to fact check Trump. So this is official capacity ABC deciding to take an action, which was heavy bias.
Yeah.
And when you know what they might say, you know what it was? It was when you told Trump that you didn't take his statement that way. When he said we lost by a whisker, and you argued with him and then gave your opinion, you beclowned yourself.
Well, you moved out of the position you were supposed to be in for the debate, right?
Yep.
And so once you do that, once you move out of kind of that moderator hat, it's over, right? The bias is out. There's not much you can do about it. By the way, in the original debates with Clinton and Trump, there was a lot of bias that came out of the moderators there as well.
Well, didn't Donna Brazile feed Clinton the questions?
Yes. Yep.
In
And
debate?
I think Sanders was the one.
Yeah, they were
who-
trying to get rid of Sanders. They were trying to push him out.
Trying to get him.
Yeah,
get rid
I
of
mean,
him.
some of the bias has been absolutely insane. I don't know if you caught this interview over the weekend with CNN's Dana Bash and JD Vance on Sunday morning. It absolutely is completely worth watching. It's 16 minutes. And the difference between the way Bash treats Vance and the way Bash kowtowed to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is actually pretty shocking, to the point where JD Vance points it out and says, you know, when you were interviewing Kamala
sure.
Harris,
Look at what Don
you gave
Lemon-
her multiple choice policy
Yeah.
questions, and I'd appreciate it if you let me
Unreal.
answer a question. And it was a terrific interview. I watched it twice.
That was just like Don.
watched it
Well,
twice.
if you have
Such a
guys like
political nerd.
Don Lemon saying, "Hey, the media needs to stop Trump." I mean, that's what he's saying, right? The media has to stop him. The media is going out of their way to, you know, spread his fascist messaging. That's what Lemon was just saying
It's
recently.
our professional
remember-
obligation.
Yeah.
You remember
professional
Don
obligation.
Lemon from like 2012?
Yeah.
When he was like, we need to talk about fatherlessness in the black community, something that I think is deeply personal to me. And I think people have, it's just like, there's this famous video where he talks about how he wants to help the black community, but it's these very practical things that, like, talking about, you know, helping homes, helping education. And now he's this guy who's like, it's all about racism and white supremacy. Like, his worldview inverted overnight. It's sad to see, but I also have a question in this. How does an individual's worldview change on a dime like that?
Fear. Well, it's really, the answer is fear. So the thousands of Democrats that I've talked to and progressives, they are legitimately terrified of Donald Trump. I mean, they're actually terrified of him and his supporters. They honestly do believe that you're a fascist. They honestly do believe that you're a criminal if you support Trump, that you support a criminal, that Trump tried to coup against the United States. They honestly believe this. Now, take yourself and put yourself in their shoes, right? As insane as that is. You try to put yourself in their position. If you thought the president of the United States had tried to coup and was trying to bring in a government which was against every value that you had, and if he was elected again, that was it for you. You were going to, off to the gulags with you.
You're talking about Harris?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure, right.
But here's
but
what
I'm saying from their perspective, right?
Right. No,
them changing their worldview from that kind of fear actually makes sense to me. It's like, okay, what else would you do?
I agree. And it's fascinating because I would just describe it as them living in the upside down.
Totally.
They look in the mirror and they see a funhouse image of reality. Take, for instance, I'm absolutely loving the cat in Ohio story because Chris Rufo found a video from 1 year ago, before there was a controversy or scandal, of cats on a grill. And a man saying, holy crap, they barbecuing cats. And you hear a woman go, they got a cat on the grill. And then it's an amazing video because there's a cat walking around and he gets like, man, look at that cat. You better get missing. Your home is on the grill. He went and interviewed these people. He interviewed the neighbors. They all corroborated the story. They found the grill. Now, I will say this. I have not seen any extra pictures of the grill. I'm just saying I trust Chris Rufo. He reported on this saying he did these things. But I tell you, maybe it's not correct, but I did see a video that showed cats on a grill. They come out and they say, nope, still not true. Those are chickens. Chickens' feet don't go down like that. These look like cats on a grill. Either way, we've got multiple videos from people from the town saying this is happening. One guy's like, I seen a guy with a whole truck full of cats. And they're like, nope, he's lying. That's a lie. They're all lying. The city manager said there's no credible reports, so they're all lying. Every single one. everyone is lying. The government is right.
Yeah, but
Trust
they
the
also
institution above all else. I mean, that's really what they're saying. Chris Rufo is not from our institution, and therefore there's no way he's credible. We say what the facts
they're also
are.
Maybe he's
trying
not,
to
but I saw a
gaslight,
video.
right? Trying to actually
I
gaslight
think Chris
you.
Rufo's credible. I just think mainstream media doesn't believe him at all.
Well, and that was interesting too, because you had Dana Bash bringing up Chris Rufo to JD Vance, saying that he's a conservative political activist, basically with an axe to grind. And Vance is like, you know what? You guys weren't even talking about any of this before we brought it up. And now actually these problems are getting some attention. And one thing that he said that I thought was particularly compelling, you know, which is probably sort of obvious, but was actually compelling, is he said, I'm listening to my constituents. People are calling me. They're telling me what's going on. I represent Ohio. These are my people. I wanted to bring their concerns to light. It's important to them, so it's important to me. And she's all, have you been to Springfield? And he's like, not in the past 4 days, but about at least 100 times in my life. And he starts listing off places he takes his kids in Springfield.
There's also, I believe, the Oversight Committee or someone shared police reports of alleged cats being taken and things like this. And so I don't know.
Those aren't the only animals, though.
For sure.
And so this is why this is what cracks me up with this type of gaslighting. So I've heard this before. Oh, maybe they're killing the local geese in the pond, right? Maybe they're killing the local geese. But you know what? Rednecks out in the country do that all the time, right? They go out and they hunt, which is true, they do.
when you're allowed to.
But this is not common inside of major metropolitan areas or inside of towns and inside of cities for people to go to the local pond, kill the geese, and grill them up. And the fact that you would try to kind of convince me that that's normal because guys out in the country, sometimes they'll poach, is insane.
And
that's
Andrew,
insane.
Andrew, not eating cats is white supremacy.
That's totally, for sure.
The other thing, too, about it is that everyone who's tried to discredit it, from Dana Bash to, what's his name? David Muir.
Muir?
Muir, right. He's mindful. That's
Yes,
right.
he's very
so
mindful.
One thing that they keep doing is they keep talking to city officials, right? And so one thing that the city officials did was they said, we tracked back through 911 calls, and then we tried to contact some of the people who made these calls, and we couldn't get in touch with them again. And so we couldn't verify it. And it's like, if you're some broke person in your town
transient.
and you're like seeing, I mean, if you're in a position where you're seeing people like eat cats and geese, like, you don't want to talk to the cops anyway. So making a 911 call already is kind of a big deal. You're not going to answer the phone. I don't answer the phone not going to say anything
or
about
they've just
myself, but
left.
you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to answer the phone
but couldn't they have just
when
left as well?
authorities are calling. They might not be there anymore. And so that is not a good enough debunking of the claim.
No. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.